welcome to the episode. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a very important topic in the B2B SaaS industry or B2B industry in general. And this is about the LinkedIn company page growth, like why it is important and what are the issues companies are facing and what companies can do to leverage this LinkedIn company page to get better out of their marketing efforts and all. And for that, to shed light on this topic, we have Pritika with us, Pritika Nalan, and she is a brand strategist as well as the social and PR specialist. She has experience of 10 years working across various industries like SaaS, e-commerce, crypto, telecom, as well as Indian political system. So I'll head over to Pritika with the first question, that why LinkedIn company page growth is important in today's world. And
Yeah, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me for this podcast. He's given the intro about me and what I've done and all that. So, yeah, to start off with, even before I jump on to the question, I would like to say that social media has been playing a very important role in the current era. Everybody is on social, right? From kids to elders, everybody's on social, and we have a lot of content that's going around. When I say content, it's not just written content, but a lot of video content, audio content. In the last 10 years, where I have seen from what I have started, it has evolved. Content has evolved in different directions. So social media really plays a very, very important role. And to start off with what he has asked, what company page growth actually means. So company page growth today is not just about adding followers. It's about earning attention, trust, and it's about repeat visibility. Uh, I personally believe that if you have a page, it's not at all necessary to grow followers. It's not important to have like 50,000 or 60,000 followers, but rather, even if you have 5,000 followers, make sure you build their trust, you gain their attention, you're earning their attention, and you're having that repeat visibility from the right audience. So how many of us could say that, hey, I have 50,000 followers and all 50,000 are our ICPs, our target audience? No, definitely not. Hardly 20% to 30% of the followers would only fall under the target audience. So always focus on that ICP or the target audience to increase their attention and bring things to their notice.
Yeah. So, for example, companies do share their product updates and feature updates, and they keep posting things like we're doing this, we are doing that. But if you look at certain brands who share a lot of customer stories behind the scenes, or this is what has been unfolding, and when you always talk raw things in social, people are more inclined to get attracted to your content, and it increases a lot of repeat visibility, and you kind of gain the attention of your target audience. So yeah, so for me, companies, any social handle is their second website, I would call it, because anybody who wants to buy your product just not goes to your website and then just buy your product. The second step he would do is come to your social platforms, look at what you're doing, who are your leaders, where are you, what are you doing. So I would really say you have to give a lot of priority to your social platforms and improvise on bringing that brand positioning and brand recall in that place.
okay. So we're say talking about a general way of how companies should treat their social media. But
Mhm.
if we go more specific onto say a LinkedIn company page,
Yeah.
so in that case, and say for a LinkedIn company page, and that belongs to a B2B SaaS company, maybe enterprise SaaS or something.
Hmm.
And for them, social media is not say the second thing or second website, but instead this is sometimes it's the first thing that customers are landing
Correct.
on LinkedIn, for example. So how are they going to, now work on that? What's
So
your take?
it's always like company pages are all, like I said in my previous question as well, company pages are often treated as the first credibility check for any customer, especially in
Okay.
B2B market. The first place where a person, a customer or prospect or anybody, let it be even a competitor, let it be anybody, if they have to do a check on you, they would land up in your LinkedIn handle, nowhere else, nowhere else. So it'll be your company's first LinkedIn handle where they would come and look at what you're doing, what are you talking about, who are your leaders, and what kind of content are you putting up. And they will, and customer testimonials are very, very important. So they would go scroll down and look for what other customers have spoken about you. What are the recent features? So even before a customer could get on a demo or a pitch or a partnership proposal with our team, the first thing that they would look up to is your company's LinkedIn page. So the the handle speaks a lot more than what your website or even your employees can go talk about, or your SDR team or anybody can go pitch to your customer. This is like a this is like a credible source where they can come get their information and then go back. So so that is it is that much important to build your LinkedIn page as first thing.
Okay. So like I generally see when I am also in the report marketing and I see how companies are currently handling their I know LinkedIn page, they're called LinkedIn company page, and I see that they are mostly repurposing their contents that they usually put on website, and sometimes they share events that are happening on their say offices and all. And sometimes like right now they have started putting out more graphics and videos. So but what you are saying is it's a custom. So how effective these things are, and what do you think they should be doing more, or anything they should not be doing? How better they can kind of utilize this
Okay,
apart from
I
this?
I get it. So I'll tell you what most companies are doing wrong in terms of in their LinkedIn handle. Most companies treat their LinkedIn page, or again, say any social hand, majorly LinkedIn handle, they use it like a billboard. So they focus on saying we launched this, we are hiring, we won this, we are doing this, there's an event coming up. But they never talk about the outcomes or the learnings. They never say here's what we learned or here's what we do. Say for example, most of the companies says we are at an event, we are coming there, only that. And then they say, hey, we are running a webinar. After the webinar, there's no noise. They don't say what happened in a webinar, what are the learnings from the webinar, or who are the experts, what kind of content have they generated from the webinar. So to be very simply said, a 30-minute of webinar can turn out into a 300 piece of content for social. Out of those 30 minutes of discussion, I would sit and listen to every conversation of it, and I would grab information. Like I could do 20 to 30 infographics out of it. I can do 50 snippets out of those 30 minutes of what the experts have spoken. I can do a white paper after the whole webinar is done. So generally companies don't do that. They only
Yeah.
say, we are doing this, we are doing that. So that is where I think they are going wrong. We have to start looking at it in a very conversational mode rather than using social LinkedIn
Mhm.
pages as billboard. And one another thing is companies don't post regularly. They post like 2 days and they vanish off for 2 weeks, and then they come
Mhm.
again and they say, hey, we are doing an event, and then they vanish off. So I think consistency is very, very, very important. Like make sure you have a content calendar. Make this has to come this day. Make sure the content is up. So if you don't have anything, if you're running out short of content, then make sure you use some kind of your old blogs, repurpose them into better content, into videos or into infographics, so that people are always there. They're coming eagerly to your page to look up like, hey, what have they done, what is this. So make sure you're consistent in your posting. And the content also, right now after AI has come, all of them, I even I use AI, but I make sure that my content is humanified. It doesn't sound like AI. So we have to kind of tone change the content into what my company is speaking, what my audience will understand. Make it very simplified to make the layman understand better.
Okay. So when you are saying that, okay, companies don't do those kind of what happened after,
Mm,
say, an event happened, what happened after.
correct.
So I kind of totally resonate with that. One question in that regard is how do we streamline that process? Because it's easy to say that we're gonna have a webinar, But when it happens, then we you say it right that it got kind of lost. We don't get it on the social. So what's the way? What is the overview way or anything you can share on how we can streamline that process for it?
So one way of how we do it and I have
Mm-hmm.
followed is bringing like a checklist, bringing like
Mm-hmm.
a playbook to the whole marketing team saying, hey, if PMM team is going to host a webinar and then it comes to social team, it goes from my side, it has to go to the design team. And then when the finished content comes to us, we all sit align with each other and make sure that these are the set of content that we have curated from the webinar. So now let's schedule for the next 1 month how this content can flow. So I think there should be like a checklist of, okay, this is step one, step. So we need to kind of bring in that checklist and then kind of track it down. So this role has to come from the social media person. They are the ones who has to create this and take it to the teams and say, hey, I know you have a webinar, so let's do the pre, post, and future events. So we need to align in that manner. That's the best way to bring that to life.
Yeah. So it completely resonates. One question in this regard is, like you were saying that okay, you need to sit down with okay, this operator is happening, so how it is going to span out, pre and during and then post.
Correct.
So in that case, for an enterprise, say SaaS company or anybody in a B2B,
Mhm.
so what resources do you see company employing for this social media no, and what the mistake they are doing or what they should be, giving the resources. I mean, it's a human resource, for example.
Again, it depends on organization to organization because I understand that a startup cannot afford a huge team saying, hey, I will have one person for content, I will have one person for strategizing thing, I'll have one person for social posting. So I understand that a startup can't do this. So when working in a startup, it is an individual contributor who has to take up all of this and run around and get things done. But in terms of a bigger enterprise level company, they will definitely have like, okay, a webinar is being hosted by a particular team. And once the webinar is done, it comes to the social or content team, where the content and social team sits and generates different types of content out of it. And then it goes to the design team. But so again, to answer your question, it's very difficult to define roles like that. It depends on what kind of environment or what kind of or the level of company that you're working in. So, but I would say that this is a simple thing which a social media person can do it all by herself or by himself
Okay.
by setting up those calendar or bringing in that strategy and workflow of how things have to evolve.
Mhm. So in like right now, the as the roles are evolving. Like a social media strategist or a person handling the social media is not only writing content but also maybe working on the graphics,
Correct.
maybe doing other stuff, video editing or something like that. So for B2B company hiring for this particular role that they need to strengthen their social media position,
Mhm.
particularly LinkedIn. So, if they are looking for a person, so what they should be looking for in that person, you know.
The first thing is I would look at three things. One is being
Mm-hmm.
very creative, very
Mm-hmm.
creative, and the other one is being multitasking because being a social media manager or being a social media expert, you got to wear different roles. Like you said, sometimes there are times that you'll have to sit and do your own design using Canva or Figma or whatever it is, and there are times where you'll have to sit and script the whole video content, short videos that you wanted, and there are times when you have to write the whole content by yourself. So being a social media person, you have to be very creative, very multi-purpose and multifunctional. You'll have to do multitasking. So that's the second thing. And third would be like the presence of mind is what I would suggest because social media person has to be very active on understanding what the trend is in the market or in the ecosystem. You should always be looking at competitors. What are they talking? What are they doing? What is the trend today? What is the trend tomorrow? What are our competitors into? So a lot of trend hacking has to be done. So I think they have to be on the par with what the trend is. So that is very important.
Okay. So, kind of it answered my questions. Now, like as you were saying that one of the themes, for example, if I can term it as a theme to,
Mhm.
post the results what's happening with the customers, what happened after the webinar. So this kind of thing, companies aren't doing it, so they should be doing it more.
Correct.
But now, when it comes to you know the format of this content, and especially in B2B, in the B2B sense, and in obviously LinkedIn company page. So what have you seen kind of working, based, or anything that you've observed that should not be doing, like they should stop doing, and something they should start doing, any trend or something like that?
I don't know about stop doing, because what
Mm-hmm.
works for me might not work for another company. What works for them might not work for me. So I wouldn't comment on what needs to be stopped immediately, but what
Mm-hmm.
to be focused and prioritized can be like doing a lot of customer testimonial, because more than you going out and telling, we do this, we do that, my company is better, and so, call out 10 customers and make them say it, has more
Yeah.
value to it. So
Uh-huh.
customer testimonials, customer moments, and customer coming out and speaking about it is very, very important. So I would say focus more on customers. And in terms of content, I would say go with video content. Let's stop all the content, because what do we do? What do we do when we are holding a phone in our hand? Are we reading a 10-line article or even a small paragraph, or are we scrolling at reels? We definitely scroll at reels and
Yeah,
shorts.
yeah.
So nobody is reading right now. Nobody, even if you want to do a text heavy content,
Mhm.
make it into a small snippet, short video with text popping on the screen, with videos and music and all that. So I would suggest stop doing written content immediately, is something that I would say stop it, because video content is where the world is evolving. Say for example, from 15 seconds to 60 seconds, you can do a lot of content. And then you have to do, and one more major thing is, more than the company logo being presented everywhere saying X company, Y company, and all of that, make sure your founders and your team, your executive leaders are well known in the market, because tomorrow when an event is happening, it's not about the logo. People are going to talk to your executives. They're going to talk to your leaders.
Yeah.
So make them the star, make them visible, bring in that credibility for your leaders. Say, for example, tomorrow I'm going to an event. I have a logo of my company, and then four people standing. People are going to come and talk to me. They have to recognize who I am. So it's my duty as a social media marketer or a social media person or a brand person, for me to make my leaders visible. So when somebody walks into the event, they have to remember, like, hey, I've seen you writing a lot of articles or making a lot of videos, and you talk a lot of sense. You make a lot of content, and I like it. So you kind of make sure that your leaders are visible in the market. People have to recognize your leaders rather than recognizing your logo. Once the leader is recognized, the logo will immediately, eventually get recognized. So start focusing on thought leader articles, thought leader positioning, not just your founder or your co-founder or your CTO, but also your executive leaders who speak the language of your product is very important. Positioning them is very important. So these are the few set of things I would say focus immediately, if anybody, whoever it is.
Okay. Regarding that, as you said, how do we actually use or leverage our, like, a LinkedIn company page for this purpose, like making our leaders visible, or is it the way around that their personal profile visibility is gonna drive the visibility here? So
No, it's basically like, say, for example, it's not about building their personal branding or building your company branding. It's about positioning these leaders. Say, for example, today I have my VP of sales or VP of marketing. Of course, whatever they do, they're going to post it in their personal handle, and they're going to build their thought
Mhm,
there, and they're going to build their
mhm.
personal branding there. But eventually, it has to come to the company. So it has to correlate with what the company language is and what they are speaking. Say for example, I'm gonna arrange like a podcast interview of my VP of sales with one of my customer or one of my founding team or any of my leaders or any expert. So when there is a podcast or a interview that is happening, now I will promote it in my social, in terms of the company's social, and eventually they will also repost it from their personal handles. So what happens is, simultaneously you're gaining more growth opportunities, follower count, or you're increasing that credibility and visibility in both the platforms. So people will eventually recognize you as a leader from the company A, company Y, and he is also reposting it in his or her account, will also increase he's going to bring in more eyeballs and people are going to recognize him. So that is what I'm saying. The content has to be correlated and it has to be like a cross functional platform for both of them.
They are posting something on their social that should be shared on our company profile so
Correct,
that
correct.
people can relate
And
to
it's
that.
not
Okay.
about
And
them alone posting randomly things, but that also come with strategy, which a social media person has to do. So I'll have to understand what is the persona of my VP of sales or VP of marketing. I have to understand what is their persona and then eventually start building content and strategy for them.
so in social media, in terms of again our LinkedIn company page, you said, so what are the metrics we're looking at? So we are doing all of that. Okay. Then what are the so we're doing some effort, but we need to measure it, how things are going, what we define as success. Right. So what are the metrics you suggest that we should, in a company should be kind of, tracking or define their success? And
Most
does it depends on, any stage of the company or the kind of company or how they depend?
got it. So most of the companies misunderstand things right here. One is the follow account.
Mhm.
They think if you increase the follower count, you're doing really well in the market, which is definitely not. It's definitely not true because I have worked for a company, not just my multiple companies wherever I've worked. I have seen
Mhm.
increase in follower count like drastically growing higher in a very short span of time. But when you actually look into the analytics and see how many of them from
Mhm.
that follower count is your ICP, who are your target audience, it's only 20 to 10%. So the rest of the 90 to 80% of them are not even your target audience. They're just following you because of the good content you're posting, or maybe because of your hiring requirements that you would have put. So doesn't mean that if you have a very good follower count, you're doing really well. So I would say don't look at your follower count first thing. And secondly, look at your engagement rate. Look at the profile visits and look at the saves and shares that you gain. How many shares have you got for your post? How many comment have you got on your post? Because if a person is coming and commenting on it, he would definitely make some sense to it. He will not randomly say good stuff or good thing. He would definitely
Mhm.
have a message to tell you. So, and make sure your ICPs are reacting to it. Even if you get 20 likes, it has to be 20 of them have to be your ICP followers. And it should not be random followers. I have seen posts getting 2,000, 3,000 likes, but it will definitely not, it will only have 5 to 2% of my ICP followers. So we have to make sure that the content is engaging, conversational, and it has to resonate with my target audience. That is the most important thing. So I would say engagement rate is very important. And then how many DMs are you getting out of that? How many email messages are you getting out of your social post? How many mentions are you getting is very, very important. So for me, more than tracking my engagement rate and all of that, every week I go and track how many mentions have I got for my company? Social mentions. How many of them have mentioned us? Let it be hiring, let it be my ICPs, let it be my customers, prospects, anybody, let it be anybody. But how many mentions have I got? How many people are talking about me is very important rather than coming and following you or liking it is not very important.
That's an interesting thing. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Pritika, for joining me. It was nice talking to you, and we got a lot of insight on the topic. And I guess we'll see you around.
Thank you so much for having me.